The beta for the Plants vs. Zombies 3 Chinese version just released yesterday. There's a good chance that y'all already saw the leaks where fusions, or in this case evolutions, were being added, but alongside these evolutions comes a couple of different game modes, one of which I personally would call the best addition to PvZ3, of course other than the evolutions themselves. So let's see what PopCap's been cooking, but most importantly, let's answer the question of, was it fun? Oh, and about 89% of people who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, so if you end up enjoying the video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind later. Okay, let's dive right in. We first start off with a couple of pictures and some text that I personally can't read, but I can assume off the pictures it's something about Dave's waffle taco, and then them heading to a journey to get this waffle taco. We first get thrown into day 1, and you'll quickly notice that the sun increments went back to normal compared to the previous beta. And like any other PvZ, we first have to plant our pea shooter with the game giving us some other instructions, and then right after showing us how the evolutions work, guiding us to place our blower on top of our pea shooter, which combines to make this guy. And this combination of the pea shooter and blower is kind of like a primal pea shooter in PvZ2, or you could even describe it like the Draftadil from PvZ2. But that aside, day 1 had been beat. Loading into day 2, there's a pre-placed combination of the pea shooter blower and this massive zombie, and we're given the plant food, or in this case the taco tutorial, which power ups your plants, and this one taco is of course able to take out this huge zombie. But if you look to the left, you'll notice that we're given 2 more plants compared to the last level, and one of them was EM Peach and the other one was sort of a Bada Boom variant. And you'll see I combined a blower with my sunflower in the bottom left, but I'll touch on what that combination does later on, because if you look up front, I combined a walnut with the EM Peach and it created an infinite. Pretty cool if you ask me. Now I don't really know what to call it, so I'm just going to call it Bada Boom for now, and it's kind of like the cherry bomb replacement because it does the same exact thing, exploding in a 3x3 radius. And that was basically all the new things introduced in this level as we took down this last zombie, beating day 2. And we do get XP, coins, and gems after every level that we can use in separate things. Oh yeah, and we also officially unlocked the Bada Boom. Day 3 starts off with showing us how we can get the tacos, which is from these imps that carry them, but if you don't take them down fast enough, they'll turn around and walk off the map. So you'll want to target them as fast as you can. I started off day 3 by planting some sunflowers and making some blower combos, but as I was trying to find more evolutions, I ran into this one, which was a Bada Boom combo with the sunflower, which turns it into a fire flower. And this fire flower produces double sun compared to the normal sunflower, and it also has a pretty cool taco power that I'll mention later on. And these beginning levels are pretty easy since they're kind of the tutorials, and they haven't really introduced too many new zombies, so I'm kind of just breezing past them. There was this connection thing that happened between the infinites, but I never really figured out what it does. But aside from that, day 3 was beat, and we officially unlocked the EM Peach. Day 4 was also pretty exciting because I'd already introduced this door zombie, which was pretty tanky, but it also gave us the spikeweed to counter it, because the spikeweed just completely ignores the armor of the zombie. And in the bottom lane, like the taco imp, there's also the star imp, and you'll want to get rid of the star imp as well because it'll drop the star, which is important for unlocking more rewards within the level. Another cool thing about the EM Peach is that it can just stun normal zombies as well, but for a very short period of time. And you'll see it as I evolve the spikeweed with the EM Peach, and it also stuns the zombie that's approaching. Oh yeah, there's also this cool combo of the blower and walnut, which kind of just makes the walnut fly, and this comes in handy later on as well. But aside from that, we beat this last zombie, taking down day 4, and we officially unlocked the spikeweed. Day 5, here's where the walnut that flies is handy, because there's these skater propeller imps that when they get close usually jump over a plant, but because the walnut's flying, the imp can't jump over it. The game also allowed me to use this auto collect sun feature for this level, but I'm assuming it's either behind a paywall or I have to unlock it some other way, because this was the only level they allowed me to use it. Reaching the first big wave, I'd gotten some pea shooters with the blower combo down, and some pretty solid sun production with 3 fire flowers and 4 normal flowers, and of course the OG combo of having walnuts and then spikeweeds right by them. And the final flag of this level sent a giant zombie, but as I had 5 tacos saved up, I ended up using it on the pea shooter to take the zombie down, beating day 5. After day 5 was where kind of the gotcha mechanic of PvZ3 came in, which is basically the blue tickets that unlock this box, which you can get new plants from. And I think this one's already predetermined, and we unlocked this guy, who I know in English is named the whirlwind banana. And this plant's kind of a combination of fume shroom and a bloomerang because it shoots multiple projectiles but can also shoot through the screen door zombie's screen. And the whirlwind banana basically becomes your main attacker for the first world. And my placements for the whirlwind banana weren't too good this level because as you can see, it's not really shooting the zombies until they get close to that walnut. And that's due to its 4 tile range. But aside from that, I used this Bada-Boom on the top lanes to get rid of those zombies, and we ended up beating day 6. And afterwards, I did open up another box, but I only ended up getting some cabbage pulp puzzle pieces. Day 7 had a pre-planted sunflower blower combo and also a banana blower combo. And this banana blower combo is definitely one of the better ones that we have access to. And you can see the final wave of day 7 sent in a pretty good amount of zombies, one of which was this dog walker zombie in the bottom lane. And this one's pretty interesting because the dog can actually do damage to the spikeweed. And also another thing was that the bucket heads in this game feel extremely tanky, but of course they do eventually go down. After day 7, I was introduced to the Zen Garden of this game, and as far as I know, it's more similar to PvZ1 and it doesn't have the boosting mechanic of PvZ2. And day 8 was our first conveyor level, which gave us a walnut to start off, but right after it gave us the dandelion flower as well. And similar to PvZ2, it seems like the dandelion and the blower combo here as well. I don't really know what the evolution does, but the combo works great, and it seemed like it was the main showcase of this level because that's all we're being given. And with all these dandelions, the final wave was made very easy, and we beat day 8. And for the most part, you don't really need to understand the text since you could just kind of understand things by looking at the screen and using previous PvZ knowledge. But this is one of the situations being able to read the text would have been handy because I never really figured out what those things at the end of the lanes do. I just knew I had to use blower to blow them away. Day 9 didn't really have anything special in particular besides those things at the end, and I chose to just use a column of sunflowers and a column of bananas for my main attacks, as well as walnuts and then eventually infinites, and also the occasional Bada-Boom when things got chaotic. And all the zombies on the final wave were pretty easy, but there was this one boss one, so I had to use the pea shooter evolution and then use a taco on it to get rid of this last zombie. And we beat day 9. After day 9, there was this chest that we needed to unlock, but we needed 2 keys for it. And to get these keys, we had to play those levels that you see on the side. And these levels were vase breaker levels. This one in particular was very easy because the first vase I broke gave me Bada-Boom, and then a pea shooter that I planted from the sun vase, and then 2 of the simplest zombies that were easily taken out, helping me achieve an easy 3-star, which the 3-star is needed to unlock the key. But since we need 2 keys, I still had 1 more level to beat for the key. This level, I first broke the sun vases, and then the front one gave me a Bada-Boom, and the back 3 were all zombies. So I used a Bada-Boom for the easy zombies, and then planted 2 more pea shooters for this cone head, which was eventually taken out, and we achieved another 3-star and another key, finally being able to unlock this chest and the plant that was within. And you could probably already tell by the image, but we unlocked a cactus, which has completely changed appearances in this game and is now just this ball. But I think this was on purpose so we could have the normal cactus that's on the ground, but then also the blower cactus that can hover. And that hovering evolution is important because it's one of the only ones that can pop the balloons of the zombies. And this is also another reason that the flying walnuts come in handy, because if the walnuts aren't flying, the balloons fly over them, but since the walnuts do fly, the balloons have to attack the walnuts. And I personally think it's a pretty cool mechanic. And with this bucket head being the last zombie, we ended this level with a pretty atrocious setup, but if it works, it works. And now I'd collected 10 tickets, so I opened this big box and I unlocked the aloe vera alongside some other puzzle pieces. And I don't know what they fed this aloe vera, but it's insanely broken, and you'll see what I mean by that later on as well. But day 11 itself was a problem because of this one singular dog walker in the bottom middle lane. Well, I thought I could combine a Bada-Boom with a sunflower and it would one-shot the dog walker, but for some reason it didn't. So the dog ended up eating the sunflower and also taking my lawnmower for the first time. And I never really mentioned it, but you only get 1 lawnmower per level, which personally is annoying, but I think it's a nice touch to the difficulty because honestly, before going into the game, I thought it might be too easy. But after playing, I came to the realization that it's not too easy, but it's not too difficult either. It has a good balance. Oh yeah, this level also ended in disaster because this bucket head in the bottom lane ate the sunflower, and since the bucket heads are so tanky, the Bada-Boom basically did no damage to it, and so it made it all the way across and took me down for the first time. On my second attempt, the defenses were still kind of ugly, but they seemed to be working better than last time. I did lose my lawnmower in this bottom lane to this balloon zombie, but now as there's only a couple of zombies in that top lane and the middle lane left, I was able to use a Bada-Boom to finish off the level. But since I lost that lawnmower, I did lose a star as well. Oh yeah, remember the really cool game mode I mentioned in the intro? Well, it was this one. In this game mode, there's basically these 5 walnuts that we have to protect, and if one dies, dies, we lose. And then there's also this pot at the bottom left, which increases in sun cost every time we use it, and every time we use it, it gives us another plant on the lawn, and we have to use the plants that we get to combine them into stronger ones to defend the walnuts. And if we happen to get the right combination of plants, we can get these super powered ones on the top left. And lastly, there's this plant food bag in the bottom left that if we got enough sun and used it, it gave us a choice between 3 power-ups. So this was kind of like a merging roguelike game mode. And normally, I'm not too big of a fan of these merging kind of game modes, but something about the PvZ plants and having to defend against hordes of zombies just makes it perfect. And of course, the roguelike upgrades are just the cherry on top. And I'm not going to show you too much of this run because I didn't really know what was going on here, and I'll show you the runs of when I started to understand it. But for now, let's go back to the regular world, day 12. And at the start, I was really confused as to why the walnut and the blover didn't combine. But then as I pressed this button on the right, I realized that this was actually a prep your defenses level, and that the plants actually combine after you start the waves. I thought I encountered a bug or something, but it wasn't a bug at all. And there's a lot of zombies being sent, but I did have a pretty good amount of defenses down as well. So I was continuously able to defend pretty well. And even the tanky bucket heads, screen door zombies, and the dog walkers weren't really a match for this defense. Oh yeah, if you look in the top lane, you'll see the combination of the aloe vera and the EM peach. And this combination is the most broken plant that I think I had in this run. There's also the combination of the EM peach and a cactus in the bottom middle lane, which I think just acts as a flyer. But aside from those, we'd beaten day 12. Day 13 was a protect your endangered plants level, and we had to protect these 3 whirlwind bananas in the middle. And this was the level where I truly realized how broken the aloe vera was. Because first of all, the aloe vera in this game heals in a 3x3 radius, unlike in PvZ2 where it only heals in front of it. So if you plant 2 aloe veras in the 2 spots that I planted, you're able to get all 5 of the walnuts. And for some reason, when you combine the EM peach with the aloe veras, the amount of healing that it does is actually insane. And the walnuts end up just becoming an impenetrable wall. And you can see this with this mega cone head that's sent in the final wave in the middle lane. Because no matter how much it attacked the walnuts, the healing was so good of these 3 aloe veras that I couldn't get any damage off. And I didn't even use any tacos and it saved up 6 of them. But since I was testing out how tanky the walnut with aloe vera was, I just let it go. And eventually the zombies' health dwindled down as the walnut stayed completely healthy throughout the whole thing. Day 14, having figured out the new powers of the aloe vera, I started off by spamming a bunch of sunflowers and all the walnuts that I could as quickly as possible. I let this one zombie go because I knew that I could use a butterboom to take it out. And as I got close, that's exactly what I did. But by that time, I had already gotten 2 aloe veras down, and now all that was left was 1 more EM peach and 1 more walnut. And 10 seconds later, we had those as well, and our impenetrable wall had been created. So the next step was planting down spike weeds in front of the walnuts and also cactuses. And honestly, instead of the cactus, I should have brought in the banana, and that's mainly due to the reason that there weren't any flyers this level. So the damage of the banana is just much better. But I'm telling y'all, these walnuts and aloe veras are so busted that these zombies didn't stand a chance anyways. And even after all their efforts, we still took them down very easily. And day 14 is actually the second to last level of the first world. And day 15 was the boss level with some pre-planted plants, but it was also a prep your defenses level. So in regular fashion, I prep my defenses. And of course, I had to go with my god combo. But look at Zomboss. It seems like he's on a haunted mechanical mansion. I think it's a pretty cool design. The boss's first big move was this rainbow shield, which blocks projectiles and prevents it from taking damage. There's also this random rain of just sun. Oh yeah, and while we're fighting this boss, there's actually another thing that I noticed in this game. And it's that contrasting to the normal pepper defenses levels in like PvZ2, the ones in this game actually allow you to have sun producers. Or if you can't bring in a sunflower, they'll have pre-planted sunflowers. Which I don't really know how to feel about, but I didn't mind it. And I know I keep glazing this walnut aloe vera combo, but I'm telling y'all, if you get a hold of this game, pray that you get aloe vera because the thing's busted. Like, look at all these bucket heads, and they're all consistently eating the walnuts, but the walnuts just keep healing themselves, and eventually all the tanky bucket heads are taken out. Oh yeah, another difference in this game was that when you use the taco power up on Infinite, it only does shields in its adjacent lanes. Of course, instead of the regular full 5 column shield. And I think this is a pretty good addition because its plant food power up in PvZ2 is honestly too broken. And as we're nearing the end of this fight with the boss, I had some tacos saved up, so I used them on the bananas, which did some pretty good damage to the boss. And eventually we ended up beating it without any problem at all. I don't think the boss fight was meant to be this easy. It's just the aloe vera is very powerful and probably needs a little nerf. But there you have it. We'd beaten the first world of the PvZ3C beta. And truthfully, I wanted to beat the entire game, but to unlock the next world, you have to be level 10. And And in order to do this, there are some quests that you can complete, which was beating those vase breaker levels and also 3 other extra levels, plus these 3. And this one was actually a conveyor level in which we also had to protect these flowers in the middle from being trampled on. And this first one was actually pretty easy as we're given some pretty decent plants and the zombies themselves weren't too difficult. The second level, there was a bit of a problem in that middle lane, which was the star imp that completely just walks through your plants, including the walnuts. So of course it trampled my flowers without me noticing. And I actually did this twice. But on the third attempt, I saw it coming down the middle lane and I used a bada-boom on it. And with that nuisance out of the way, we'd gotten a 3-star on this level. And that had also meant that we completed the quest, gaining 25 more XP, which still wasn't even close to enough to get me to level 10. And I was taking some screenshots throughout and using an image translator, and this was to help me on parts that I was completely confused on and didn't know how to get over. And this showed me that that second quest with that 500 in it meant that I had to spend 500 coins. And that was pretty easy to do because I just leveled up this banana. Yep, this game also has a leveling system. And there's actually a lot of things that I just completely skipped over in this video because there's just so much going on and I didn't want it to be overwhelming. So I might mention them if I happen to do future videos on this. But yeah, completing that quest helped me unlock this box on the top, which gave me 100 XP, and that brought me to level 9. And now I just needed 100 more XP, and perfectly I had 4 more quests that I could do to attain this. But these 4 quests in themselves were pretty difficult, and 2 of them connected to this third game mode, and I'm not really going to touch on it too much in this video because for some reason every time I would beat a level in this mode, my game would just completely crash. But there were 2 more quests that went with this game mode, and this is where I had to start taking it seriously. But this was the most fun but challenging mode of this game, so far at least. And I didn't really have any strategy in the beginning, so I was just combining every plant that I got. And I got this 4-star electric pine cone who was pretty good because it was one-shotting most of the zombies. I also got a 3-star blover pea shooter who's pretty good as well, alongside the 2 sunflowers on the top left. I later combined 2 3-star sunflowers and got a fire melon pole who did some pretty good damage and also caused a fire burn effect on the zombies. But I should also explain how the merging works in this mode. In order to combine 2 plants, the plant has to be the same exact one and also has to have the same exact star rating. But when you combine the plants, there isn't a specific plant that it's going to turn into. There's basically a pool of 2, 3, or 4 stars that I can just randomly choose from. So 2 1-star pea shooters, if you combine them, could turn into a 2-star cactus, or even a melon pult, or even that pine cone thing that you see on the screen. It's basically super random and you're just hoping to get lucky with the strong plants. But there is some strategy to how and what plants you want to combine and which ones you don't. And I'll start getting into that more as I myself found out about it later as well. On what you could call the first level of this mode, I happened to get the overpowered banana. Oh yeah, and I guess I haven't really mentioned how you get those 2 overpowered ones on the top left. You'll see that bottom one has the 1 out of 2 and the top one has a 0 out of 2. And this basically just means that you need 2 certain plants to unlock them. And once you randomly combine into those 2 certain plants, you can use those 2 to make the overpowered banana or the electric aloe vera. And for this, the main one you want to go for is the banana because for some reason the aloe vera isn't too good in this game mode. And the main motive in this is just to get past the wave 30. And you can tell what wave we're on by looking in the top middle, and you'll see that we're on wave 30 right now. And as that bar is about to fill up to full, you'll see that we beat this mode. But I quickly chose to translate and see what these 2 buttons meant, and the green one actually meant that we could keep going, so I chose that one, and a boss appeared. And I was like, oh, its HP is actually going down pretty fast. But you'll notice that number 5,000 on the right of its HP bar. And right as its HP reached 0, the number went down to 4,999, which means we'd have to beat that HP bar 5,000 times to beat this one guy. But as we basically had a time limit of 1 minute, this was impossible, and we only got through 2 of the HP bars. And these purple token things that we unlock are pretty important because they can be used on the skill tree. And I'll explain the skill tree when we get to using it later, because for now we're going on to the second level of this game mode. And this was probably the most fun that I had playing this game because this level was genuinely difficult and you had to strategically use the right plants to beat the level. And on my first attempt, I got a 4-star fire melon pole and also a 4-star cactus electric guy. As these new refrigerator zombies started to come in, things got difficult fast as my walnuts were also very low on HP. And I was able to take off the refrigerators from the zombies zombies, but these 2 zombies in the bottom middle lane ended up eating my walnut and I lost. On the next attempt, I was able to get the aloe vera, but as this walnut in the bottom middle lane was about to die, I moved the aloe vera next to it to try to heal it, but for some reason it just wasn't good enough and the zombies ended up eating the walnut anyways. The attempt after, I made it decently far, but just as soon as I got the banana, a couple zombies ended up eating my walnut again. This attempt, however, is where I kind of started cooking up a strategy, and this was mainly due to the reason that I got 5 sunflowers right off the bat. And maybe you noticed in the previous ones that I wasn't really using sunflowers to their full potential, and instead I was just combining them to get more plants. But it's honestly much better to just keep the sunflowers as sunflowers even though they're just 1 star, because their sun production is very helpful. But I'm not gonna lie, even with all these sun producers, I still ended up losing 6 more times. But even though I was losing, I was still playing and collecting the purple stones, which now I could use to get these. And I kind of just used them all on this middle path to boost my fire plants, because the level we're facing was mainly ice zombies. And this was actually going much better than before, because now I'd unlocked these house zombies, who I was able to mostly take out. But somehow I didn't realize that 4 zombies had stacked up in this bottom lane, and they very quickly teamed up and ate the walnut instantly. But I went back and bought a couple more upgrades. And this was the run where everything came together, because my sun production was on point, I was getting good damage boosting power-ups, and the most important thing, I was getting multiple fire melon bolts. And even though I'd previously been aiming for the bananas, it turns out that now that I'd upgraded the skill tree, and since the most threatening zombies were the ice zombies with the refrigerators, having multiple fire melon bolts was the best option for this level. And this is also where I actually made use of the blowover sunflower combos, as you see them very up front. And I believe what it does is slow down the zombies. By wave 24, I had now gotten 4 fire melon bolts, which was very good, but the cherry on top was unlocking 1 banana. And having 5 high damage plants basically made it to where I wouldn't have to switch around plants to deal with certain zombies, and I can focus more on just upgrading things. Things actually got a little scary here with the disco zombies spawning in more zombies that ended up doing a pretty good amount of damage to my walnuts, but thankfully I was able to take them down before they took any of the walnuts out. And you might be wondering how I have 2 columns of spike weeds right in front of the walnuts, and the spike weeds are actually a power up. And here we were, the last wave of this level, and things were looking good with only the house zombies being sent in. I actually got a little scared because some disco zombies were sent in, but thankfully they're right at the end and we ended up beating the level without having to defeat them. But of course I wanted to continue going. And this time we actually saw a new boss, which was this huge sporty robot guy. And again, he had 5,000 bars of health, and within the minute that we're given, I was able to take down 6 of them. And that was it. I'd beaten enough levels to claim my quests. And now the only thing left was try to beat the mode that kept on crashing my game. And I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do that, because I think it's necessary for me to get to level 10 and unlock the new world. So let me know what you think about the game. I honestly think it was pretty fun. And also let me know if you want to see a part 2 of this. Hope you enjoyed. Okay, bye bye.